them in person. And what we need to have our websites do, and this is how we pre-frame the experience with them to make it so you're more apt to win, is we write down that list of objections and questions that you'll get. And then I go, okay, cool. My job is to, if I have done a bunch of transactions, my job is to find testimonials from clients I've worked with that combat those limiting beliefs or objections one by one. Then I'm going to put those testimonials on my website. I'm going to put them in my marketing. Those are the ones I'm going to be doing when I'm talking to the person.
This is Mitch, and welcome to the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. I have Trevor Mauch on the line, and he is going to talk to us. Well, first of all, he's the CEO of Carrot. And if you guys don't know about Carrot or on Carrot, I've been using their sites forever. I have a buy site, a sell site. I should have the raising private money site. I'm going to let Trevor tell us if there's been any more evolution to this, the kind of sites you can get. But what I like about it is these sites are built by real estate investors for real estate investors, and they're SEO'd so that you have the best possibility to organically get where you're going. And then beyond that, they have SEO tips and hints and classes and courses. I'm just happy to have him on here because the guy's a real innovator. Hey, Trevor, how you doing today?
Mitch, doing awesome, man. Good to connect with you again. And dude, this year's flown by. As we were talking before we hit recording, it's like, it's been a little while since we've chatted, but it's been really cool seeing what you've been doing. I'm honored to be on here again with you.
Hey, are you still one of the top fastest growing companies in the country? Because last time I talked to you, you were.
Yeah, we are. So we're the fastest growing software company in Oregon, in the whole state of Oregon. And the funny thing is we're in a town of like 25,000 people. So we're beating all the guys up in Portland and all that, which is cool. And then we didn't make the Inc. 500, but we're 699. So we're the 699th fastest growing company in America, according to Inc. magazine, which that's not a kick in the shorts. So I'll take it for sure.
No, I mean, like, how many people in the world? There's a whole bunch of people past 699 wish they were you.
That's right, man. There's 5,000 on the list, so we at least made the top 700, right?
There you go. So, we're going to talk about, I guess mining for houses, and the price of finding a house has gotten ridiculous in some circles. I know that when I was out mining for some houses and using SEO to do it myself, I mean, I was getting up to around $5,000 a lead. Now, I don't know that I did it exactly right, or that, because that's not my forte. I could have messed it up really bad, but talk to us about mining for houses and Carrot.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I was just talking with one of our clients and a big investor actually in Miami right before this call, named Gabriel Garcia, and he's been doing all kinds of marketing, right? So he does direct mail, he does a lot of offline stuff, and online. When we originally connected a few years ago, I remember everyone was kind of just, all the big guys were just kind of dabbling in online a few years ago. Even Brad Chandler for Express Home Buyers, one of the big guys. When we first connected with him 5 years ago, online wasn't a whole lot of his stuff until we dialed in his online strategy. Like, we dialed in his strategy he's executing right now. And over the years, it's become more and more effective. So if you think about this, and we'll kind of dive into specifically what people can do right now. If you think about this, marketing methods kind of go in ebbs and flows, right? So 2-3 years ago, direct mail for going and finding motivated house sellers was the thing. Everyone was doing direct mail, and it worked insanely great until everyone started doing direct mail. And then your response rates start to go down when everyone is doing that same marketing method in your market. And as response rates go down because there's more competition, you've then got to send, instead of 2,000 postcards to get a deal or letters or whatever, now you've got to send 5,000 or 10,000 to get that same deal. And so their cost to acquire a deal on direct mail started going way, 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 way up. And the people who had really good direct mail and really good data are still doing really well with it. So I don't want to put it down because people are still crushing it with direct mail. It's just different than it was 2 or 3 years ago. You have to know that you're going to put in more to get that deal, rather than a deal costing you $3,000 or $5,000 a deal. It might cost you $10,000 to get that $25,000 or $30,000 profit, right? So then what happened is, after that started to kind of, the response rate started to take a hit, even though it's still insanely successful right now. Cold calling popped up. So cold calling, which was something that was popular like a decade ago, and then no one did it. Everyone stopped doing it. So everyone's like, "Oh, you don't have to cold call. Stop picking up the phone, cold calling. You do all this push button stuff." Now cold calling popped back up, and it's one of the most effective things right now for people to get sellers. Is going to your county courthouse or buying a list of properties that maybe have code violations, or they're behind on taxes, you delinquent taxes, or something like that shows there's some sort of distress to the property. People are picking up the phone and cold calling or text messaging or dropping voicemails with tools directly on people's cell phones. That's something, I mean, we can go into that later, but that's not what I'm going to focus on. The one thing that we've seen, and Gabriel mentioned this, is he said, man, with all the marketing methods that keep on coming in and ebbing and flowing, we have to stay on top of knowing what's new and what's working now. But he said the thing is, the online side has just been getting better every year. He said the online side has just been getting better every year. If we think about that, it's obvious in hindsight why that's the case, because I'm looking at my phone right now, and all of us have cell phones within 5 feet from us, probably at almost any given time. Whenever we're looking for a solution to any problem we have, whether we want to buy something, we're looking for a restaurant, we're wanting to research a company before we work with them, we take out our cell phones and do a quick Google search and research that company, or do a Google search to find the solution to our problem. And online is getting adopted more and more every single year by all demographics. So what that shows is the online side keeps on going up and up, where the demand that you're going to be seeing online with sellers, buyers, tenant buyers, renters, so tenants, doesn't matter. That's all increasing every single year, while the other ones are ebbing and flowing. So that's what we've been focused on the last 5 years, Mitch, with Carrot, is just really, how do we go all in with our clients and help you get in front of the best prospects, and then convert them at a really high rate into a lead, and then pre-frame the experience for that prospect. I'll explain what that is later. Pre-frame the experience for that prospect so they're more predisposed to work with you rather than the 4, 5, 6, 10 other investors that also contacted them. I'll leave with this one last thought, and then we'll kind of dive deeper on this. As Gabriel, as we were talking, he goes, man, looking at this next year, I really, really want to dive into SEO more, because he said SEO has always been his highest profit margin deals, and usually his biggest deals are from SEO. But he said it's just getting better. He goes, every year, this year versus last year, his profit margin and the quality of his SEO deals just keeps on getting better. He's like, we want more of those. And it's because you're not dropping marketing in front of someone, interrupting their day. You're actually getting in front of them while they're on their search. They're actively hot and ready to find a solution to their problem. And if you position your website correctly and have the right things on it, you're going to end up pre-framing yourself to be the trusted solution for them to do business with them.
Okay, so let me ask you, I was talking to some people, they say, some of the people I talk to say the problem that they perceive with the SEO solution is that, when they're paying the money and they're going and spending the time, you don't get to the top of that stuff usually overnight, especially not keywords, because these keywords are very profitable. So there's a lot of people fighting for these positions. So they get up in the top 2 or 3, and so now they're getting the leads. But they were saying, as they're going in the house, there's 2 or 3 investors coming out, and as they're coming out, there's 2 or 3 investors coming in. So you kind of touched a nerve with me there when you said I forget how you worded it, how to set yourself up for this lead.
Yep.
Talk to me about that, because they're saying they're getting discouraged with SEO because the people that are calling on that one, their third position or second position, they're calling like a lot of people down the page, like randomly getting in a bidding or a auction, kind of like an auction situation where they're just for the highest bidder. Talk to me about that.
Yep. No, you're 100% right, man. If you kind of look at some of the other marketing methods too. So if you look at, direct mail, once again, I think one thing that a lot of investors were coming to us with and talking about was they would see the stack of direct mail pieces on the person's table. And so anytime someone is really seeking out a solution, they go through this same process. I've actually got a blog post on it. And Mitch, I'm going to write this down too as a resource, because this right here, process. Okay, cool. This right here is critical for all investors or any entrepreneur at all. Like, I don't care if you're a real estate investor, real estate agent, you sell toilets. I don't care what it is. Like, you need to know this process. And we created a diagram that I call Inside the Mind of a Motivated Seller. And the same process can be used for any other product though. And what happens is whenever someone is looking to buy something or to engage with the company for something, they go through this decision process. The first thing is they have to know and recognize that they have a problem, right? So they have to be problem aware first. And we'll give you guys a link at the end, or it might be in the show notes where it's going to go to resources here, where we'll give you this diagram. It's going to help you outline all of your marketing and make sure your website is set up to pre-frame your prospects to want to work with you to combat that same issue that Mitch just mentioned. The first thing is they got to be problem aware. If people aren't aware that they have a problem, then they're not going to notice your marketing. They're not going to notice your billboard or your bandit sign or that direct mail piece. They're going to toss it right in the trash because it doesn't speak to them. And they're definitely not going to be going to Google to do Google searches about how to sell my house fast in insert city. So as soon as they have a problem, they just inherited that house, or they're going through the divorce, or whatever it is, they got the foreclosure notice. Now they've got a problem they're aware of, and now they're going, okay, what are the solutions out there? Like, I want to try to find out, how can I solve this problem? So they're now aware of that bandit sign or that billboard as they're driving down the street, because it's got a message that speaks to a problem that they have now. Now they're probably going to Google and typing up things like how to sell my house fast in Houston, selling house fast without real estate agent, cash home buyers, Duluth, things like that. They're going to Google typing things like that, or how to sell a house I inherited, right? So now they're starting to kind of gather these different solutions that are available for them. They got a couple pieces in the mail. They drove by and saw that billboard. They did a Google search and found 3 websites that they dove into that had okay information. This is where most real estate investors, most businesses in general, fall flat. Okay, most of them do decent at saying, hey, here's what I can do to solve your problem. What most of them don't do is, here's why you should work with me. So now once they're in the solution aware phase, where they know that there's 4, 5, or 6 different options, where it goes next, and you'll get the graphic for it in the show notes here, so you can see it all in flow. What is next is the vetting and verifying phase. So at this point now, we all know that there's 4, 5, 6, 10 options that we're trying to choose from, but we're going, which one's the best for me? And oftentimes the seller doesn't just go for the person who's going to give the best offer. Sometimes they will, but not oftentimes. And we get a lot of clients coming to us saying, man, we're winning deals and we're the lowest offer, or there were 3 offers higher than us. And you go, well, why is that happening? And it's because during the vetting and verifying phase, that seller feels more confident and feels more trust with you to actually close on the transaction. They feel that you can actually fulfill that solution to them better than the other people. And I think we've all done this. Let me toss this question at you, Mitch. And this isn't a loaded question. If you haven't done this, like, just say, no, you haven't done it. But have you ever paid more for something that you could have paid less for? A TV, a car, whatever it was, but you paid more for it because the experience was going to be better, or you felt you were buying it from a more trustworthy source, and you were ensuring yourself that you wouldn't get ripped off from that camera you're buying online. Have you ever done that, where you've paid more for something because of trust?
Absolutely. I do not believe that cheaper is better.
Yep, exactly. So your sellers are the same. Now, like I said, there are going to be some who are going to go for the highest offer, just like there's going to be some people who are always going to try to buy the cheapest thing, no matter quality, no matter reviews. But one thing that we all do as well is, if you look at kind of the Amazon phenomenon, that we will, and I want people to like raise their hand behind the scenes wherever they're listening to this and acknowledge if you've done this before, that most of us have made a purchase or chose not to make a purchase of a product or service before because of one review they saw. One review. There was one review in the whole Amazon thread, me too, and one review, and you're like, oh my gosh, maybe this product isn't as good as I thought it was, because that one review pointed out a weakness. Or on the flip side of it, you know what? That one review pointed out a strength that, oh man, that's exactly what I want, and that's awesome. So I'm going to work with that person. I'm going to buy it. And that's where most investors are falling flat. Even Carrot members, they're putting up a great Carrot site that's optimized to convert as far as the structure, right? The structure, the words, the way the words are. We've tested the crap out of the whole system with over 1,000 split tests. Well over 2 million leads have come through our platform. We're always innovating on the conversion side. The part we can't automate for you, is how you build your credibility and trust during the vetting and verifying phase. And that's what I want to really toss at people in this phase of the market that we're entering into and that we're in, where there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of choices for sellers out there, between agents, between a bunch of investors. Opendoor.com now I even saw something last week where Keller Williams and Coldwell Banker have been running pilot programs in markets around the country to make cash offers to their clients, to their listings. So Coldwell Banker and Keller Williams are in the iBuyer they're in the they call it iBuyer, but they're in the iBuyer world right now, and they're going to be competing against real estate investors.
Wow.
So
That's a big change, right?
Mm-hmm. It is, but it doesn't have to be a bad one. So I'm pointing out all this stuff where I think it actually opens up amazing opportunity for investors in a big way. And I can kind of map out how to get that opportunity.
All right. So you guys, I want you to go to reinvestorsummit.com/carrot leads. That's carrot, CARROT leads, LEADS, and get your pre-frame your prospect profile sheet here.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be problem aware, then they got to be solution aware, and then there's a vetting and verifying process. Is that the 3 steps, or did I miss something?
Then there's the 4th, which is closing them. You're closing them into a deal, so they've got to make a decision. So decide. And then after that, the 5th step is kind of evangelism. Or if you have a great experience with the company, oftentimes people tell people about it. And that's how we've grown with Carrot. Like we don't have a big marketing budget. We just have a ton of clients who are getting a lot of results and they love working with us. So they tell a lot of people about us. But on the flip side of it, I think there's a stat where I'm going to butcher the stat, but it's something to the effect of 1 negative review or 1 person that says something negative about your company impacts 10 times that. And so that 5th part of it is once you've done the deal, your work isn't done.
I find that kind of striking what you just said, because I have on one of my books I have 200 plus 5-star reviews, right? Out of like 225 reviews.
Yep.
So, but there's one 1-star review and it has the most hits of it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There's one, and there's a 2-star review and 1 3-star review. So there's like 3 reviews that are below, killer, and those are the ones everyone's going to.
It's the whole rubber, man. It's the whole rubberneck phenomenon, right? It's like when you're driving down the street. I live in Oregon. There's Interstate 5, right? And it's so frustrating. We used to live in Portland. We haven't lived there for about a decade now. And we'd be driving on Interstate 5, and then the traffic would be backed up for miles. You'd be like, man, there must be a big wreck. No, it was on the other side of the highway. It was all the rubberneckers stopping and looking at this carnage that was there. And that's what people are doing with those reviews is they're like, well, I want to see the bad stuff. It's the whole rubberneck syndrome. But yeah, that's the thing, right? I mean, and we could be talking to newer investors too, and they might be going, well, shoot, how am I going to stand out from the people who have a bunch of reviews? Well, I'll walk you through exactly how you can do it. And this is where the big opportunity is for real estate investors or real estate agents right now in the market that we're in, even with the increased competition, even with the shifts in technology with Open Door and, Zillow making home offers and things like that. I think that's all good stuff if you position it the right way. So with those big national home buyers, one thing that they cannot do is they can't provide the local experience and oftentimes the personalized service and expertise that you can being the local investor. So what if I'm in, Mississippi, in some city in Mississippi, and let's say that there's a bunch of competition there and there's Zillow buying houses there and stuff. The way that I stand out is I find the weaknesses, I find the chinks in the armor of my competition, and then I find what I can be really good at. And on my website, on my ads on Facebook or whatever type of marketing I'm doing, even if it's direct mail or cold calling, I'm making sure to point out the things that are unique about me that can uniquely help you with your situation even better. So here's an example. So with your website, if you're a local provider and you've done a bunch of transactions and helped a lot of people, what I would have people do first is write down maybe your top 5 to 10 objections or questions that your average prospect has when they talk with you. So, what questions or objections does the average seller have? And I'll kind of toss this your way, Mitch. What are some common objections or questions, or even just like limiting beliefs that a seller might have about working with a real estate investor?
Some of them want to know, do you really have the money? Can you really close?
Yep.
That's really the biggest one. They just want to know, are you for real?
Yep,
You know?
100%. And that's a huge one. And that's common with probably pretty much every seller, right? That works with an investor. There's other ones of, so can you close? Can you close on time? Do you actually have the money? Because they might have actually worked with another investor who didn't fulfill on that. And so now they're going, oh my gosh.
That happens a lot. Also, is this really a fair price? That's got to be running through their head.
Yep, that's probably the biggest one is, are they going to lowball me? Because they hear from TV or they hear from their friend or a real estate agent who's a buddy of them, because everybody has an Aunt Mary and Uncle Joe and a friend Bob who's a real estate agent, but not everyone has a real estate investor or a home buyer as a friend. So the traditional real estate agent process, people understand that, right? So they might go to their friend and say, hey, so this thing here, is this for real? And their agent's probably going to go, well, no. It's like, no, they're probably just going to give you a low ball offer. Don't go with that. So there's all these limiting beliefs and objections in their mind when they land on your website, or when they read your postcard or your direct mail, or when you meet them in person. And what we need to have our websites do, and this is how we pre-frame the experience with them to make it so you're more apt to win, is we write down that list of objections and questions that you'll get. And then I go, okay, cool. My job is to, if I have done a bunch of transactions, my job is to find testimonials from clients I've worked with that combat those limiting beliefs or objections one by one. Then I'm going to put those testimonials on my website. I'm going to put them in my marketing. Those are the ones I'm going to be doing when I'm talking to the person in person.
Let me raise my hand here, because the perfect time to get that testimonial, it needs to be in your closing package. When at the time when they're signing and they're getting their check and they're the happiest, they're ever going to be. That's the time to get that, both on the selling side and on the buying side,
Dude, 100%.
It has to be part of your closing package, right?
100%.
I kick myself because now I could have had hundreds of thousands of testimonials right now, but it just fits the package,
There's always the opportunity, though. There's even for newer investors. I always want to make sure to kind of bridge that gap between someone who has the background and has a lot of that credibility and someone who's newer, because everyone has to start new somewhere. So if you're an experienced investor, it's like Mitch said, work it into your closing. And one thing that we've done before and tested with clients, and I do it too, like even with Carrot and my previous companies, is if you want to at the start incentivize them to give a testimony. Don't say, hey, give something that's untrue. Just incentivize them to actually give you their experience. And at the closing table, we even have clients we've guided to where they're like, well, shoot, how am I going to get the testimonial? I never show up to closings. It's the title agent that does it all for us. I go, awesome. Incentivize the title agent. Like, give the title agent $50 for every testimonial that they get using this process that you give them, and these specific questions. And then you can give that person who gets a testimonial a $50 gift card at a local restaurant when they give it at closing. So you're out $100, but do that for 10 transactions. You're out $1,000. You're going to get that $1,000 back in spades by having 10 amazing testimonials on your website. And so, there's always amazing ways to do it. And the questions you want to ask people with your testimonials, and this is where we're in the age of social proof right now. We're in the age of people reviewing and wanting to look for reviews with everything. I mean, Facebook pages have tons of reviews on them. People look for those. And then you have your Yelp and your Yellow Page and Better Business Bureau and all those. And people look for reviews. If I were to go to Google right now and probably search your company name or some of the bigger ones out there, on Google, you'll see the suggested searches up there at the top. Oftentimes, you see the company name with the word review after it. So Express Home Buyers Reviews. It's because people are typing that in every single month. Once they're problem aware, they're solution aware. Express Home Buyers is one of the solutions in their brain. And now they're researching each one of those solutions. Hey, which one of these companies is the legit one? So then they land on the website, or they see your direct mail, or they talk with you on the phone, or they meet you in person. And these are the questions you need to ask your testimonials. And you know what? I'm going to add this to the page too, Mitch. So testimonial, all kinds of cool resources. So testimonial template. And you can just use this testimonial template at your closing. So you can use it, all that kind of stuff. So here's a few questions to ask. The first question is, I always like to toss it out to the person to say, hey, we're always looking, I pre-frame it with, we're just looking for feedback. Because a lot of times people get a little bit nervous if you whip out the camera or say, hey, can you give me a testimonial really quick? And they oftentimes won't give you the best testimonial. They'll just say, hey, it was cool working with Mitch. I'd work with him again. That's not that great. So what I'll do is I ask for feedback first. I say, hey, man, it was really fun being able to close this transaction with you. We're always looking to improve and get even better. And I know we had a couple of hiccups we worked through with you, but all in all, it was just a blast working with you. Is there anything we can improve next time? So give us some feedback, because we really want to help. We really want to get better. Okay, cool. They tell us the feedback. I really want to know the feedback. And so I take it and I improve my business. Right after that, then I go, okay, awesome. So what was your experience like? Basically, how do you feel your experience was? What were the parts that you were the most over the top, pumped about? And they'll say, man, this right here was cool, or you guys closed in time or whatever. Then I dig in further. I go, so then I figure out, okay, this was the part that nailed it for them. They got a great offer, or we closed fast or whatever. And then I ask them this question. I say, okay, so what was that pain that you were feeling? What was the situation you were in before you reached out to us? And what's your situation now? And they'll tell you the before and after. And you always want the before and after in your testimonials. The before and after is really important. I was stressed out. I reached out to 3 other investors. 2 of them backed out. And I really needed to get this house sold. That's the problem. That's their before. The reason the before is important in your testimonials is because when people are on your website, those oftentimes are those objections they've got. You need to make people so they connect with those same objections or problems that someone else who's worked with you before has experienced you solve. They say, okay, here's what my life was like before. Here's how it is now that I worked with you. And here's the thing that was amazing about it. So always have the before and after. If you can do that, that'd be amazing. And especially if you know that there's certain objections that or limiting beliefs that they had that you can get them to highlight in there. That's even better. So you can say, hey, I know you were a little bit nervous that we wouldn't be able to make you the offer you were wanting, but kind of tell me about that. Obviously it worked out. How did that work out? Were we able to get you the offer that you were looking for? And were you surprised? Oh my gosh, yes. I thought you were going to come in and lowball us, but you gave us an offer that was insanely fair and you closed fast. Awesome. Would you mind? So I don't even film all that yet. I'm just talking with them with their guard down. Okay, that's amazing. So we work with a lot of people that end up working with or trying other companies that end up just not fulfilling and delivering for them. And one of our missions is to really help a lot more people like you be able to get rid of this burden. It would help a ton if we could record a quick little video, just you walking through your experience with us, kind of saying some of those things you just told me. And then we can share it with other people that are in your situation so they don't make a bad decision and go with someone else who's going to provide a terrible experience. Is that cool? And they're like, yeah, that'd be awesome. Cool. They do it almost every time.
That's some great tips there, man. So I want you guys, again, now you can get your testimonial template in addition to the pre-frame your prospect outline there at reinvestorsummit.com/carrot leads. All right. I wanted to talk about something. The name of my house buying business is probably one of the worst names ever in the history of the planet, but I had made this name up and didn't know anything about the internet. Both my buying and my selling name were horrible. But, I bought so many houses and sold so many houses with them that I had so much goodwill that I just never stopped to go back and revamp them.
Yep.
I'm thinking, though, that I might, because with these new companies coming out, what is it, Nest or Front Door, or what are they called?
There's Open Door, and then there's like nextdoor.com, but that's more for the real estate agent side. Yeah.
I think Nest or something. But anyways, so the name of my company is cash4houses.net. Cash, the number 4houses.net. First of all, super sucky name, just for you guys out there listening. Yeah, you got to get a .com, because whoever has cashforhouses.com, thank God he's not in my city, has gotten a lot of phone calls because of, or a lot of, and that was the first problem. But the other thing is there's people out there. The business is evolving and the industry is evolving, and it needs to be more like, instead of, people aren't just looking for cash anymore. It's not about that as much. People are looking for a way out of a problem. So, maybe my business should be called, and I don't have any designs on this, or it's probably already taken, but a homeadvisor.com or home solutions or something. It needs to be more of, let me figure out what's right for you. And then if we can't figure out any other way, then we can make you a cash offer as a last resort. You know what I mean? That's the kind of how I want to frame it, So
That's really, really good insight. And I want people to make sure that they're listening to that, particularly because that kind of goes hand in hand with the whole solution aware and vetting and verifying phase is if I land on your site and I see the cash for houses, if I'm looking to get cash, awesome. Like Mitch has got a handle for me. And I just logged into the back end of your site there, and you've got hundreds of leads in there. It's like, sweet. I love it. But then if maybe, like you said, if maybe they aren't needing cash,
No,
but
maybe they're trying to keep their house.
there we go. Yep.
Foreclosure, and it's like, is there a way I can keep my house? I said, I don't know. Do I need to present like, look, if there's this ought to be the commercial. If there's a way to keep your house or to solve the financial problem you're having in relation to your real estate, I'll come there and I'll put my brain to it. We can make you a cash offer as a last resort if that's what it takes or if that's the only choice left. But why don't you invite me over to sit down at your coffee table with you and figure out what you're going through, where your pain is, and let me see if I can help you. I've been in this business, 22 years and done thousands of houses. Let me talk to you. We'll do what's right for you first, and then if it ends up you need to sell the house, maybe I can buy it from you. Maybe.
I love it. Dude, we have a client, Ben Sochek. He's up in Nebraska, I believe. He's up in the Midwest somewhere. And he has a company, he has a bunch of Carrot websites, but he has a company called Home Downsizing Solutions, homedownsizing-solutions.com. And so he's kind of done what you're talking about there, where he's going, okay, I'm going after a segment of the market that's the older demographic. They're looking to downsize their home, maybe move into an assisted living or retirement community. And so he's completely presenting, hey, you've got this problem, a bigger house than you need. And I can help you go in there and figure out the solution for you to downsize your home and have money, plenty of money to put into what you need to, whether it's assisted living, retirement community, or smaller home. And it's cool because then it's just speaking to the problem, right? And that's what you're talking about. Let's speak to the problem. Here's the problem you've got. I have many ways I could possibly solve it. Connect with me because you see all these amazing testimonials, this credibility of other people I've helped, and we can walk through this together. I think that's great insight, man.
Well, I know you're a busy man that we've been on this call for a while. I want to suggest that everybody check out reinvestorsummit.com/carrot leads. We're going to have some promos back there in the back on buy sites, sell sites, raising private money sites. Do you have some other sites, or is there anything happened since last we talked that I'm not aware of?
Yeah, one thing that we've been doing, Mitch, ever since we started, when we started Carrot, man, we were a motivated house seller site. That was it. And then we added cash buyers. Then we started adding other ones as the markets changed and shifted. So one of the bigger things now that we're starting to develop is, we have land buying and selling sites. We've had those for a couple of years, crushing it. That's the number 3 type of lead that comes in through our system right now is people flipping land. We have note buying and selling websites if you're looking to buy notes or sell notes. We have mobile home websites coming out here in the next couple months because as markets, like in California and certain markets just got overheated, what happened was it made mobile homes a viable option for a whole swath of the buyers out there. And so mobile home websites are coming out. And then we're looking at a couple others. Multifamily is definitely coming out here shortly. And then there's some other ones we're looking at. We've had some big investors hit us up actually from Texas that have said, man, are you guys coming out with an assisted living website? I'm like, let's talk about that because I don't know. Let's see what we can do.
I think you also, I'm not sure, but back when I was talking with you and getting my website set up and everything, you had also thought about setting up a owner financed houses website, like people that were selling houses with owner financing. Did that ever come through? Or
yes, it did. It did. Yep, it did. So people can go set up an owner finance site. One thing that I really feel is going to come back strong. So we launched rent to own websites about 3 years ago. And I really feel rent to own is going to be big. Lease option rent to own is going to be big this next 2 years, especially with just the way that some financing things are happening. I know there's different laws all over the place and we have to call it different things. And I'm just telling the overall concept. How you guys deploy it, you need to talk with people that know what they're talking about on that. But the act of being able to put tenant buyers into a home, those websites are converting so many leads right now with so many people who couldn't get into a home at heated up prices as a purchase or their credit was hit. And I see a big opportunity there the next few years with that. There's a lot of cool things we're digging into. I think at the end of the day, Mitch, what we're trying to do is stay ahead of the curve with however the market shifts. We started working with real estate agents in a big way this past year. So we're working with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of real estate agents on Agent Carrot now. And that was really driven from our investor clients. There's a ton of investors who are also agents and saying, hey, can I use this for my agent side of the business too? And so we spun that up, and all in all, we'll just able to help you no matter what type of real estate you're in, generate more leads.
So here's the bottom line, guys. I want you to listen up here. You could go, if you've got a specific ailment, let's say you broke your arm and you go to the hospital. I mean, you need somebody who's an expert in setting broken bones and someone who deals in that. If you need, you don't need a brain surgeon to do that. You need someone who sets a bone. Now, on the other hand, if you need brain surgery, you sure don't want somebody who's, a foot doctor to be working on your brain. Yeah. So here you got these guys up here in Oregon that specialize in building websites specifically tailored for real estate investors and real estate related issues. So, people say, well, so what? It's a website. You have no idea. If you don't have any idea, let me just impress upon you. It's very complex, the back end. The things that you don't see in a website can make the difference in picking up 5 or 6 or 10 more deals next year, if not more than that. It depends on how the back end and how this thing's set up and how it registers with all the different algorithms. You guys are constantly keeping up with how the changes are in Google and Yahoo and Bing and all this other stuff. If you think that you're going to do that on your own and not to do that, you'd have to not do anything else in your life to keep up with all that. So all I'm saying is the people at Carrot are keeping up with that for you, so you don't have to. You get a site that is predisposed to organically move up and give you every chance to move up the chain that it can, because it's set up right and they know the keywords and the terms and what people are doing in the real estate business. So I hope I've done a good job of explaining that. Probably not, but
no, you did awesome, man. I think the best possible way is, I'm looking at one of your Carrot sites right now, and this is a site too where the cashforhouses.net. I remember when we first chatted, you weren't a Carrot customer, and we were talking about online marketing stuff. And you're like, man, I need to check it out. And just looking in the back end of your site, you have hundreds of seller leads in there, and your ones that came in 6 days ago, 5 days ago, a bunch of them this past month, and some of them from SEO. Are you driving any other traffic from that, Mitch? Like, how are you getting those leads?
That we do a multitude of things. Our site's included in a lot of different stuff that we do. So even the mail outs and everything. So
cool.
Heaven only knows, because we don't do the greatest job tracking. What we want to know is that what we're doing and what we are tracking, at least it's enough or getting better all the time. We're always trying to get better. And if you look at my home selling site, homes2go.net, where I sell homes with owner financing, my gosh, that thing has no shortage of leads all the time. I see them as they come through. I have those leads coming to my phone, so I know. Of course, you're always going to have more people inquiring about buying the house than selling a house. That's a given.
You got almost 1,300 leads in that one. Yeah, those ones convert crazy good because, like you said, they're a lower resistance lead, right? I mean, someone's getting on a list versus trying to sell their home. So these always have a higher conversion rate. But just over and over again, we see the owner finance and we see the rent-to-own sites. I mean, you get tons of leads. I think the biggest one we've got, this guy up in Cincinnati or somewhere up there, he has like 25,000 rent-to-own leads on there. And he's driving them from Craigslist, some SEO, but it's primarily Craigslist and SEO for that guy anyway.
Yeah, we do a lot through my LiveCom site where I have, captured people calling my signs. I have over 8,000 people who have called my signs, and I've captured their cell phone number and put them in a quick distribution list. So, I'm averaging, thanks to that site and some Facebook stuff and some LiveCom telephone capturing stuff. I'm averaging 9 days on the market in the last 100 houses. We just went and reviewed it. It's 9 days average over the last 100 houses. So technology is changing the way we do things for sure.
I love it. And I'll kind of wrap with this, Mitch. I mean, it's one thing that we really, really love to do here at Carrot is, and I talk about this all the time on my podcast and other things, that most of us become entrepreneurs for 4 core reasons, right? We want freedom. We want flexibility. We want to grow those finances because that can help us get freedom and flexibility. And then we want to eventually make an impact someday, and hopefully sooner than later. And the problem that I found myself getting into years ago was I created businesses that trapped me, that didn't give me the freedom and flexibility. And it was because I was doing the things that weren't my unique ability. It was doing the things that weren't actually building the biggest value for my business for the time I could be putting into them. So when we looked at solving this problem for real estate investors of like, how do we help you get in front of your best prospects online who are likely going to yield your best deals, your biggest profits, your highest ROI? How do we do it in a way to where we're delivering not just a world-class solution, we're delivering the best solution, like way better than our tech stack is way better than someone could go out and build. And you would be paying probably 2 to 3 times more just in hosting to build the tech stack that we've got. Just 2 to 3 times more than you'd be paying Carrot. Okay, like it's not even close. And then also you get the conversion rate optimization. So I'm not sure how your previous website, cashforhouses.net, converted versus the one you got now. But even with the one you have now, that you haven't done a lot of customizations on there. I mean, you could do a lot more, but it's converting pretty darn good. You have hundreds of leads on there.
Yeah. So I'd like to thank the audience for stopping by to get you some Trevor Mauch from Carrot. I want you to check it out. REInvestorsummit.com/Carrot leads. They always work out some good deals for my clients and my followers and followers of this podcast. So make sure you get over there and see what's going on. Make sure you get your pre-frame, your prospect template, and also your testimonial template over there for free. He's going to give that away free. And check it out. At least get a consultation. See what they have to offer, because I've been a believer now for years and many, many, many leads. And it doesn't take very much to figure out that if I only converted 1 or 2 of those leads, that I'm way ahead for having that site than if I didn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing goes with my sales site. So I want to thank you so much for stopping by.
Mitch, I appreciate it, man. I'm pumped about what you do. So everyone keep following Mitch. He's the real deal. There's people out there who aren't, and Mitch is. And so you guys are in the right spot. Follow him, buy his books, and just share this up. I'd be grateful if you shared up Mitch's community and get more people in his community.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. This is Mitch Stephen with the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast, and we're out of here. Bye now. See you later, Trevor.
Thanks, man.